actually made his initial wealth as a slave trader. Now, I don't stay trading slaves very long. Not because he had any moral issues with it, mind you, but because he found out he could make a lot more money by becoming a pirate. That's what John Hancock does. John Hancock hires sailors like myself to smuggle goods into and out of occupied Boston. Makes a fortune. Of course, it also makes him England's most wanted criminal. So what do you do when you're England's most wanted? You got more money than Elon Musk. What's that?
Fight him.
You fight him? Heck no, you just start your own country. One without an extradition treaty. That's what John Hancock does. John Hancock uses this money, and he pays for the first and second Continental Congress. John Hancock pays for the Continental Army. Buys the guns, buys uniforms, buys the tents. John Hancock underwrites the first Constitutional Convention. Now, I expect to get a couple of things out of this. Wants a return on his investment, so to speak. First of all, he figures, well, I just bought and paid for this army. I had this bright, shiny uniform. Just makes sense. I should be general of the Continental Army, right? Who's the general of the Continental Army? George Washington. All right, we'll let him have that. He's a pretty good guy. Well, John Hancock also figures, you know, here I am. I've been president of the First and Second Continental Congress. I am underwriting this Constitution. It just makes sense. I am a shoo-in to be elected as the first president of the United States. Who's the first president of the United States? You guys see the pattern? George Washington and John Hancock are political rivals. Actually, they don't get along very well at all. When George Washington makes his first official visit here to Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, he's supposed to meet with John Hancock at the State House. John Hancock stands him up. Doesn't show. Now, George Washington, who usually has a really even-tempered personality, is furious. He goes up to Hancock's mansion, pounds on the door. Hancock opens up the windows on the second floor of his bedroom, dressed in his pajamas. Looks down at the President of the United States standing on his front stoop and basically says, yeah, I was tired. I'll just meet with you tomorrow. Closes the windows, leaves George Washington standing there. Not a good relationship. John Hancock was not an easy guy to get along with. He had quite a few rivals. His biggest rival, even bigger than Washington, was actually much closer to home. Anyone want to guess who that was? His wife! Absolutely correct. John Hancock and Dolly Hancock did not get along. In fact, when John Hancock evacuates out to Lexington, you realize he forgot a few very important things. He sends his valet back to retrieve his most important item. Not his wife, his salmon. He had just been given a gift of fresh Atlantic salmon from a fisherman who owned a fleet out in the harbor who owed him a favor. So they gifted him a whole bunch of salmon. He sends his valet back, gets the salmon, leaves the wife. She don't go out to Lexington until a few months later when it's embarrassing how long they've been apart. Shortly after she gets to Lexington, he tails it out to Milton. So, you know, they're not together very long. Very terrible relationship, those two. When John Hancock dies, he does leave his mansion to his wife. She needs a place to live. But he don't leave her no money to run it. She basically, here we are, the widow of the wealthiest man in the New World. She basically has to turn her home into a bed and breakfast just to keep the lights on, the gas on, candles on. Anyway, so eventually she does pass away. She does manage to hang on to the house. It passes on to her descendants. Her descendants are not able to hang on to the house. They can't afford it. Most of it is repaired. It is condemned. It is knocked down and annexed by the Commonwealth. They build that marble extension right there. They build another one to match it, so it looks all down. The original building, however, is actually that brick facade you see right there. What color is the dome on top of that building? Gold. Is that dome real gold? It is. Very good. Yeah, 23 karat gold. Now, it didn't start out as 23 karat gold. It actually started out as square wooden shingles. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have ever done any construction before. I'm going to tell you this right now. Square shingles on a round dome, not the brightest idea in the world.